everyone. Thank you so much for joining me for another exciting episode of the Love and Light Talk Show. I'm your host, Shri Shrikant, and I come to you with another super soul. Why is she a super soul? You're soon gonna find out. But I will tell you one thing. She will leave you wanting to hear her more and more because everything that comes out of her mouth is pure gold. Today, I'd like to introduce my next guest. Her name is Shashikala Ananth. She holds a degree in architecture from the School of Architecture, Madras University. And she has researched the classical Indian science of architecture, that's also known as Vaastu Shastra, for over 30 years, from 1982 to 1992. Now, she was a student of Shri Ganapati Sthapati, a leading authority on the Vaastu Shastras, from who she learned textual knowledge and the practical fields, both extremely important. Now, having studied Vastu text, extensively assimilating traditional wisdom and exploring its field application, she and her husband, TV Anantha Narayanan, have been students of yoga and Vedanta for the last 35 years. And this combination of yoga, Vastu, and Vedanta have helped them to move into a position of mentoring young minds to understand and reflect upon the wisdom of the Indian tradition. And boy, are we proud of our Indian tradition. They now live in the Nilgiris, where they are setting up a meditation center in a small village close to Kotagiri, and that's where she works on projects incorporating wisdom of Vastu in creative and harmonious ways with the modern lifestyle. Shashikala, thank you so much for joining me, and welcome, welcome, welcome.
Namaskara.
And we also have a live panel, and these are, I call her crew, I guess. We have her mother-in-law also on the panel as well. So welcome to the show. Thank you so much for tuning in live from India. All right, so we're going to jump right into it now. Before, of course, this is a question on everybody's mind. I know that now that America is sort of opening up their minds to, of course, they know yoga, but Vastu is also very surely coming in and people are more aware about it. So, Shashikalaji, tell me, have you till date found a house that is Vastu compliant, like completely 100%?
This is a very tricky question. Because in the way I look at Vastu Shastra, there is no such thing as a perfect Vastu compliant building. Every building is actually in relationship with the people who occupy it. So is it compliant with you, with your energy field, is the question I would ask. I would restate it. It's not really that there is a formula of a perfect Vastu building and like a cookie cutter building in your suburbs of US, every house becomes that. It isn't like that. Actually, it is very dependent on the local topography, climate, sun direction, wind direction, lifestyle of the people who occupy it. And the basic thing is, what are you looking at? So the direction is actually based on not the side of the road that runs on which side, but what are you looking at? Because traditionally, the buildings were built around a temple.
Mm-hmm.
So you looked at something that was capable of lifting you up spiritually. So every direction was fine then. There was no such thing as south is bad and east is good and so on. So really, it is dependent on the context, specifically built to suit the needs of a particular client or a particular family.
So, for example, I was reading about Vastu, and especially with what you have brought in, it's Ayurveda, it's Vastu, it is also yoga. So when you look at somebody, the three type of doshas, like, does that have some impact? For example, somebody who has a Pitta dosha, does that also affect how the Vastu of the house is? Is that all tied in?
No, I wouldn't like to take it that far, because Ayurvedic doshas is also seasonal. If you have
Mhm.
read a little more,
Yes.
you'll understand that.
Yeah.
Every day, actually, you go through all three doshas.
Mhm.
Early morning is actually kapha, and late night is, the afternoon is pitta, and night is, what's the third one? I forget.
Vata.
Vata. Vata comes in the night. So actually, it is the phlegm is maximum in the morning,
Mm.
heat is maximum in the afternoon, and so on. And then summer it changes, winter it changes, which is why Ayurveda gives different diets. So I wouldn't take something that transitory into consideration for the home and its energy, because that is actually built for a longer period of time. You're talking about
How true.
20, 30 years,
You're,
maybe
you're
even
saying you're saying
generation.
it's not narrowing it down to that.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, that would be very, very tricky. But
Mhm.
I would say that it will affect your health.
Right.
The way the energy field plays on you
Yeah.
will actually affect the way you sleep, the way you eat, how you digest, and so on. It would
Coming
have
to
an impact.
coming to that, how important is it when you're like when you enter a house, let's say you're looking for a house to buy, is it
Mhm.
important for one to just feel the energy of that house?
Absolutely. That's what I tell every client who comes to me. And particularly now during the lockdown period,
Mhm.
when I'm doing everything long distance, I actually go through, I ask them to keep their Zoom or whatever, the Skype, whichever possible link is available,
Hmm.
keep it open. As they walk into the house, they speak to me.
Wow.
And I ask them to experience the space and assist them in choosing that which will suit them the best.
How profound. So
Mm.
I wanted to tell the viewers in America, how did I find Shashikala Ananth? So what happened was a few months ago, a friend of mine, she says I mean, she's not a Vastu expert, but she's read heavily. So when she came over, she said, "Oh, your swimming pool is on the southeast corner of your house," and she said, "This is terrible, terrible for your house." And after that, I sort of obviously a little bit of sleepless nights, and I think that's happens to a lot of people who um, they get that fear, and of
Yeah.
course I want you to I know you're going to tell us more about that. um,
Mhm.
so then I started looking on YouTube and everywhere, and that's when I chanced upon your videos, and I'm not even kidding you, I could not stop at one of your videos. I went on and on. You had maybe I watched a good like a whole week of every day. I'll be like, I need to hear her, I need to hear. So I'm your biggest fan, and I was like, what you made that what you said made so much sense. Is like what you just said right now, is you walk in, you feel the good energy, and that is exactly what we felt when we moved into this house. It's been about a year and a half, and we feel good, absolutely, because what she made it sound like was, that's it, it's disaster, all your wealth is going there. And honestly, we haven't really, we're financially okay, health is good, everyone's fine. So could you expand on this and the fear based, obviously, or
Yeah. For this, I'll have to give you a larger framework. The canvas is very big. If you look at what the hospitals are doing, they tell you when you walk in there saying that if you don't have an X-ray right now and get operated tomorrow morning, we cannot promise you that you'll live. So the today's context is such that there is a lot of fear being pushed for monetary gains. This has become actually a standard pattern, and people have no compunction about it. Similar to what you said about someone walking in and telling you about the swimming pool, something even worse.
Hmm.
I had a client coming to me and weeping. That is when I started what I call Chikitsa Vastu. This is about 20 years ago. She came and told me that someone, random person, just walked into her house and told her that because of the door being in a particular position, she would become a widow
oh
in
my
a month. And that's a horrific thing to do to a person. She
God.
was terrified. So I had to assist her both from her psychological point of view and get her back to a state of wellness. My immediately following that, I went through what I call a internal sort of a self-reflective phase, And I came up with what I call Chikitsa Vastu,
Mm-hmm.
which is what I'm teaching all my students.
Okay.
Chikitsa is actually a therapeutic process, and I have taken it from the yoga practice that we carry out it through our Krishnamacharya tradition, where
Mm-hmm.
we have the Shakti Krama and the Chikitsa Krama. So I had a long chat with my teacher Deshikachar, and I told him this is what I'm planning to do, and he was very actually quite interested in what I did. So I said, and this is all my students will probably, if they were part of the conversation, they would tell you that every class I insist that they take a sankalpa
Mm-hmm.
that they will not use fear. That the Chikitsa Vastu means to assist the person who lives in the home to feel empowered, that they can actually change the nature of the space, that it is within their control, within their power to live in a manner which would lead to happiness, to wellness, good health, good mental state, and so on. That they are in control. They don't need me to tell them what to do. I'm only assisting them to find that power within themselves. And this is something that I have been doing for 25, 30 years now.
You're basically enabling them with the tools
Yeah,
to have control over their life, right?
absolutely. And be happy.
But
Yeah.
this is absolutely wrong to use Vastu as a way to sort of, and you know, it's funny, like we are human beings, and the moment you'll start imagining that this is the problem, this is attributed because this is like this, or the direction is wrong. My kitchen is not in the southeast corner, so everything's so this is very very important for all the viewers and also for my listeners on Ruckus Avenue Radio. Don't cave into this fear. And as I'm gonna link about is there a way are there online classes for Chikitsavatsu that viewers can enroll for your class? Is that
Sure, sure.
yeah?
I offer an introductory course
Okay.
that is open for everybody, and a level one, which also they after the introduction they can do the level one,
Yeah.
and then a level two, which is only for designers and architects,
Okay.
because I teach them how to design.
I want to ask anyone from the panel, if you do want to chime in, please go ahead. You can unmute yourself right now and just totally tell us your experience. If anyone, Hari Prasad, if you want to chime in, that would be nice. You can just give our listeners an idea of, as since he's one of the students, right?
But he's not an architect.
Oh, he's not
Chandana,
an architect. Oh,
Chandana, Inisai, and Shivangi, and
Chandana, would you
Madhura,
like to chime in?
and Madhura are the architects.
I'm looking for, there she is.
Hi.
There she is.
Yeah.
Hi, Chandana.
Yes. So I've been learning with ma'am for over a year now, and my journey has started as an architecture student and basically looking for answers about how to address a lot of things that we have to face in our own context, how to work with our own context, and how to build people-centric, how to connect with people-centric spaces, and how to create them, and all of that. So and the university education is not sufficient,
No.
and so I have a lot of gratitude because simultaneously I was bumping into ma'am's workshops, and so that connection kind of grew, and it started to make more and more sense to me that we need to start asking these fundamental questions about how to create harmony, how to practice uh, for yourself, apply knowledge for yourself, and address all the different layers, not just the physical reality, but also the energetic reality. And yeah, work with health and well-being, and make people aware with it. So, which is what ma'am is teaching all of us. So, yeah.
And do you already see a huge difference in just how your day goes and just your, I guess, state of mind? Because that's extremely important.
Yeah, absolutely. I think anchoring yourself, firstly, growing up in India, I think locating ourselves within our own context. And I think the younger generation is grappling with a lot of things. from the West, and we're not fully anchored in our own with our own knowledge, the local wisdom. So I feel like that's where this connection has helped me greatly. I think it's restored um, um, that connection with my roots,
Yeah.
I would say, and I think the others can add to it. But yeah, this has been a very big shift, and I feel there's a stronger base to work from, a more meaningful way of connecting with everything else. So yes.
In fact, I want to say, Chandana, you and all the everyone here in the panel, actually, just I think just being in her space and learning from her, her being your guru, that itself, that you took that step in itself is kudos to you, congratulations to you, because she is
But
something.
it's not that simple, because she's always telling us to find the guru within ourselves.
Mhm.
And
Yes,
so ma'am
that is
wants to empower
that is
us.
her modest self. That because that's how awesome she is. Um, wow, thank you so much. Anyone else wants to chime in? Oh, hold on. I'm just going to pause the recording for 1 second.
What Chandana said.
I actually missed. Yes, Chandana is already recorded. She's set.
Okay, but without her face. Okay.
Without her face, I know. Anybody else would like to contribute how the experience has been so far? I'm definitely going to link the information in the description box so that anybody watching the show, you can have get in touch with Shashi ji, and you can really equip yourself with these tools, beautiful tools that I'll call it a gift to humanity. Anybody else would like to?
I would like to add, but I'd prefer it if my video was off.
Sure. Go ahead, Inasai.
Yeah, I think what's really significant here is how ma'am said, use that intention where you don't use fear. I think that's really, really important, and that's one areas where I align very much. So I think all of you might have heard of this game called Chinese Whisper, where you sit around in a circle and one person starts something and then it goes around. So
Hello?
you so you can see through that game how quickly a message can get distorted. That too, like, yeah, in a very fast, and the final thing sounds crazy almost, right?
Right.
And so given that Indian culture is something that is thousands of years old, so at every stage you've had a lot of people coming in, making changes as and when they please. So I don't think we can really take what's existing and say this is it. This is exactly what our ancestors said several thousand years ago, you know. So I think, yeah, that's why ma'am helps us a lot, because given the sea of information we have available to us, we definitely need someone.
Sorry, continue.
Yeah, we definitely need someone who can guide us through information.
Like you said, it's been distorted over time. So with her, it's coming firsthand. It's not distorted, pretty much. It's as clear, crystal clear as you can get.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for sharing that insight. Thank you so much. We'll come back to more. We'll listen to everybody as we go through these questions. Now, this is a nice one, and I think you already touched on it, Shashiji, but we can just reiterate on this question. So, is it true that homes are being sold, and I think this is mainly in India though, as Vaastu compliant as sales gimmicks? Like they'll actually say, "This house has been tested. It's Vaast. It's perfect. Move in ready."
Yeah. That's true. That's because they've created a formula, Jayashree. They have made it into something that is that can be sold as a product rather than the living process, and this is very sad. It's not different from some of the studios that are pushing certain types of yoga, and which is more like calisthenics and gymnastics. and they have taken away the spirit of the whole thing and made it into a product.
Yeah, in
I
fact,
think
even
that's a very,
that,
pardon?
no, like Bikram yoga, like what happened to him? Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's very sad, very, very sad, because the living process is being completely ignored. And I believe that's a very tragic reality in these commercial times, you know. So I personally think that it's very, very important we keep the living process, which is why, like Chandana was saying, I say to them, study with me, don't make me into a hero. Find that hero within yourself, you know, and only then the process, the living process will get transferred. Otherwise, you end up creating a figurehead
Mm-hmm.
and the whole thing will get entrenched.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It will not be alive.
Yeah. You're saying bring that into practice, and that is the real, that is how they
Yeah.
will respect you, or get whatever you're giving them. That makes sense.
And you have to add your own, you see.
Hmm.
Only then the thing will be living, because the Vastu Shastras straddle about 1,000 years. You have rewritten manuscripts,
Hmm.
because they were handwritten manuscripts on palm leaf,
Oh my gosh.
and they were chanted like all the Vedic details. It was never really, referred to as a textbook. You learnt it by heart, mananam.
Hmm.
Okay,
Hmm.
so this whole process can be maintained only if each generation adds to it. So they added a few shlokas, they experimented with new innovative ideas in the construction, and then each location, like the Vastu Shastra in West India and East India, are very different
Hmm.
because the climate is very different.
Right, right, right.
Texts themselves are different. So
Oh,
making it into a formula and the cookie cutter technology is a very tragic thing.
ain't gonna work.
Not just it won't work, it will create such monotony. I
Hmm.
always say creating a matchbox and saying it's Vastu compliant, people are going to die of boredom.
I know. So true, because they say this is like this is like this is exactly, so everybody is going to be, oh, you're right, totally.
You'll die of boredom.
You go to your friend's house, you're like, your house is exactly like my house. Oh my gosh. um okay, now, yes, so this is kind of again same thing, like we were talking about. So I find people, they buy a house based on vastu, and still that doesn't solve their problems. Okay, they're still having,
Aha,
so,
that's a fabulous question. Yeah,
right, so now would you say it's a lot more than just vastu? So prayers, meditation, sadhana,
absolutely.
service to humans, animals, that's what truly draws in prosperity.
See, let me give again one a little bit of background here. The building is made out of inert substances, right? The inert substances are not actually trying to harm you.
Mm.
They don't hold a dislike for you or a hatred for you, and they want to kill you or maim you or whatever, right? What is happening is each person who occupies a space, because of their mind, their thoughts, their energy patterns, their whole, the perceptive logic that they are carrying, is getting embedded into the built environment. So the walls, the doors, the windows are picking up your energy field, your thoughts. Okay? Which is why in India, when you go to a house which was occupied by someone else earlier,
Mm.
you carry out this cleansing of that space with Navagraha Homam, Ganapati Homam, Sudarshana Homam, and so on.
Yeah.
Through mantra and through certain rituals, you are changing the nature of that space.
Mm.
You're bringing it back to neutral.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're requesting the energies who are the devatas, saying, may I live in harmony with the space, please assist me
Mm.
so that I may be happy here. Okay, so the built environment is actually not harming you, but what is happening is each of us is carrying a pattern, which is what is known as karma and so on. The pattern that which is your predetermined pattern. Okay, so this predetermined pattern sets into motion certain events and experiences in your life
Hmm.
without your conscious volition, without your intent at all. It will happen. The only way that can be changed is with your will,
Hmm.
which is why we come into yoga and prayer and meditation and all the rest of it. You are basically saying, I don't have the capacity to change the nature of my destiny because it is pre programmed, right? But may you assist me in shifting this because I am committed to a different attitude or a different, uh, you know, destiny.
Yeah.
I would like to shift it. It requires a tremendous act of will,
Yeah.
right? And for this act of will, we call upon the divine energies to assist us
Yeah.
because it is not within our capability to do it. Which is why I come to the second thing that I am putting into the place now, which I call yantra, mantra, and tantra. Through prayer, through a certain kind of visual image that you place in your prayer, and through a process that you take up for 42 to 49 days, you can change the nature of the energy in a space. And it has happened. I have known enough number of clients because of their commitment, they have been able to change it.
Able to negate. So it's true, there is negative energies. So for the American viewers, I know having you may not know about graha puja that we do, but what I would suggest is before you move into a new house, saging is great for cleansing a space. Just burn the sage around the house with an intent that you want to, like, all the negative energy that just leaves. Another good idea is just burning salt as well. So these are like few things you can do. I'll link those the video, I mean the links on that as well in this the description
But
box.
chanting is good, whatever language and whatever background you come from, the audible sound
Hmm.
of the chant shifts energies.
Even maybe a simple om, that's
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely.
Sound is extremely important.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Which is why some of them will probably tell you, I'm also teaching them chanting and singing because the voice
Yes.
and the nature of the sound that you create can transform the space that we occupy.
Maybe we can do like a small at the end of the session, if you can just do a small one with us for just to end the show, that would be great.
Sure, sure.
What I'm going to do is, because I have 6 minutes left, we'll log off, then log back in so that we reset the time. Okay, but before that, we have 6 minutes, so let's do one more question. Oh, the next one is my favorite one. All right, so oh yeah, here it is. All right, now, so during COVID, we find people are probably not sleeping, especially here in the US. There's a lot of, people are having mental health issues, which are leading to, their depression's getting worse. Now, what do you see in terms of maybe Vastu, or even not even maybe Vastu, just what do you suggest people should do to sort of help them, feeling low and feeling low, and help them just sort of pick themselves up?
Mm. Um, I would like to caution you here. I'm not one of those who'll give quick fix answers because I think real serious kind of shifts or transformations can happen only when you work. Okay, it can't be just given as a pill. I
Yeah.
don't believe in that. So one of the things that we are attempting to do with many people who are joining our courses is to assist them to examine the inner space and the outer space. Because each of us, when we occupy a space, any space, it can be a chair, it can be a room, it can be a house, it can be a garden. There is something that we carry which is our own inner consciousness. and there is a space that we are occupying. Vastu Shastra talks about it as Vastu and Vastu. Vastu is the object, Vastu is the space. So the two of them are endlessly having a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So if you can actually become conscious of your body, which is what I assist them, I take them through a body consciousness sort of an exercise, and ask them to become sensitive to parts of themselves which they have ignored, not looked at, treated very shabbily, and so on. Because actually, the body holds memories,
Mm.
particularly when you go through negative experiences, which is what people are going through right now. There are parts of the body which will be holding it.
Yeah.
So then it will affect your sleep, it will affect your digestion, and so on. The only way is if you start becoming conscious that there is an inner space which is capable of shifting the nature of your moods and your attitudes and so on. So it actually is very close to what it is generally known as bhavana
Mm-hmm.
in yoga. Um, it is close to what the West is calling meditation.
Mm-hmm.
But the dhyana is very different. Dhyana happens. You cannot do it. It is not something that you practice. But bhavana you can practice, where you become conscious of your mind, your body, your various faculties. How are you using your listening? How are you watching? How are you touching? So you become sensitive to every part of yourself. And then you start re-relating to things that are in your environment so that you build a new relationship with everything around you. Then things start becoming rich, meaningful, full of energy, and so on. It's a lot of work.
A lot of work.
Yeah.
One thing for sure, in these really unprecedented times, we're in lockdown, even though, countries have opened up, still we're all quarantining ourselves. A lot of us are working from home. So what has happened is in fact, I would say take this time for that inner healing and looking within.
Absolutely.
This is the best time. I can't even tell you anything more, because as
Yeah.
hard as it may be, yes, we can't go here, we can't socialize, we can't do many things. So take this time
Yeah.
to get all, and that's why if you can get to do her course, this, like she said, it's not a quick fix. This is not Prozac. This is not a pill that you're gonna take, swallow it, and you feel great. Yes, you'll feel great for a couple of hours. Then what?
Yeah.
Back to square one. Okay, so we're gonna log off and then log back in, everyone, because next is the Ayurveda. We're gonna be touching on Ayurveda as well. Okay, everyone. So just log back